Hello students, I am Bhavani. The next topic in planning of audit is internal control. Internal control is a crucial aspect of an organization's governance system and ability to manage risk and is to fundamental to supporting the achievement of an organization's objectives and creating, enhancing and protecting stakeholder value. High profile organizational failures typically lead to the imposition of additional rules and requirements as well as to subsequent time consuming and costly compliance effects. Effective internal control also creates a competitive advantage as an organization with effective controls can take an additional risk. Despite the existence of sound internal control guidelines, it is often the application of such guidelines that fails or could be further improved in many organizations. A study of internal control system helps the auditor in determining the procedure to be adopted by the auditor in the verification of various aspects of the organization. For example, if there is an efficient system of internal control in the organization, auditor can adopt test checking by avoiding detailed checking of transactions. A thorough study and evaluation of internal control system in operation helps the auditor to prepare a suitable audit program. Internal control provides reliable and accurate information to the management for taking sound business decisions. Meaning of internal control. Internal control means not only internal check and internal audit, but the whole system of controls, financial and otherwise, established by the management in order to carry on the business of the company in an orderly manner to safeguard its assets and to secure as far as possible the accuracy and reliability of its records. Framework for internal control. Control environment, risk assessment, monitoring and reviewing, information and communication, control activities. So these are the framework of good internal control system. First one, control environment. A sound control environment is created by management through communication, attitude, and example. This includes a focus on integrity, a commitment to investigating discrepancies, delusions in designing systems, and assessing responsibilities. Next one, risk assessment. So in this, it involves identifying the areas in which the greatest threat or risk of inaccuracies or loss exist. To be most efficient, the greatest risks should receive the greatest amount of effort and level of control. For example, dollar amount or the nature of the transaction might be an indication of the related risk. Monitoring and reviewing means the system of internal control should be periodically reviewed by management. By performing a periodic assessment, management assures that internal control activities have not become obsolete or lost due to turnover or other factors. They should also be enhanced to remain sufficient for current state of risks. Information and communication means the availability of information and a clear and evident plan for communicating responsibilities and expectations is paramount to a good internal control system. Next one, control activities. In this, these are the activities that occur within an internal control system. These are fully described in the next sections. Okay. So next one, Steps to evaluate internal control system. The various steps to evaluate internal control systems are: Step 1. Organize the process. Step 2. Segment the company. Step 3. Develop a schedule for vulnerability assessment. Step 4. Conduct vulnerability assessment. Step 5. Establish plans for subsequent actions. Step 6. Conduct internal control reviews. Step 7. Take corrective action. Step 8. Prepare summary reports on internal controls. Step 9. Periodically test internal controls of high risk areas. Step 1. Organize the process. So in this, an organization approach is a key ingredient to a successful internal control program. Thoughtful diligence applied to this step will prove to be invaluable in both approaching the more detailed steps and maintaining the controls. The organizational step includes 4 major components. First one, assign responsibility. Second one, develop internal reporting system. Third one, establish documentation process. And fourth one is commit personnel. First one, assign responsibility means a system of internal control is not a separate and distinct system within an organization, but the embodiment of all the plans and devices which assure reasonable control over operations. Accordingly, the ultimate responsibility for good internal control rests with the internal management at each company and not with any external unit. The same managers who are responsible for day-to-day operations and decision making are also responsible for ensuring the presence and effectiveness of internal controls. Next one, develop internal reporting system. In this, an internal reporting and follow-up system should be established to monitor the progress of the various tasks that make up the evaluation and improvement process. Next one, establish documentation process. In this, documentation should be maintained for activities conducted in connection with vulnerability assessments, internal control reviews, testing and follow-up actions. The kind and quality of documentation and the method of maintaining it are matters that each company should define for its own purposes. And last one is commit personnel. Each company should decide during the organizational phase what level of personal resources will be committed to the evaluation and improvement process. Step 2. Segment the company. The primary goal of this step of the internal control process is to develop a company-wide inventory of accessible units, each of which will be the subject of vulnerability assessment. A complete coverage of all academic, administrative, finance and business and program areas should be included in the inventory. Segmenting the company provides the groundwork necessary to determine a reasonable level of personal involvement. There is no best method to follow in the segmentation process. As a practical manner, a segmentation may be decided upon that includes a combination of organizational units, administrative functions, program activities and discrete systems. Step 3. Develop a schedule for vulnerability assessment. Having developed an inventory of accessible units in step 2 above, the next activity is to establish a time schedule for conducting the vulnerability assessment. The schedule should recognize the prioritization of the vulnerability assessments based on such factors has the relative importance and the potential risks of the accessible units included in the inventory. Next, step 4, conduct vulnerability assessment. A vulnerability assessment is performed by management on each of the accessible units identified in the step 2, the segmentation process. It is intended as a quick analysis and should not require an inordinate amount of staff time and effort. Next one, step 5, establish plans for subsequent actions. The vulnerability assessment provides an initial evaluation of risks and safeguards and is used to determine recommended actions to be taken. The next step is to establish a plan and schedule for taking the approved recommended actions for each of the accessible units or for the areas which are determined to be most susceptible to loss. Next one, step 6, conduct internal control reviews. Depending upon the outcome of the vulnerability assessment and other appropriate considerations, it may be appropriate to conduct internal control reviews. Internal control reviews are detailed examinations of activities to determine whether adequate control measures exist or implemented and are effective. They involve assessing a specific group of activities to ascertain if the defined techniques are functioning as intended and if they efficiently and effectively meet the established control objectives for the event cycle. During an internal control review, the flow of an event should be tracked from beginning to end. How it is created, how it is processed, and how it is to be reported. Next one, step 7, take corrective actions. After reviewing the system design and testing the functioning controls, the reviewer should reach conclusions concerning the effectiveness of the controls. When the reviewer concludes that areas remain where controls do not provide reasonable assurance that a control objective is being met or that unnecessary control exists, follow-up actions are required. Reports should be prepared which not only identify the weaknesses but also recommended how to correct them. The recommendations should correlate with the risks involved. That is, a level of control should be recommended that considers the materiality or degree of the weaknesses. The recommended change should provide reasonable assurance of control and should be cost effective when weighing against the expected benefit those results from risks avoided or from errors or irregularities detected. Next, step 8, prepare summary reports on internal control. Management reports should be prepared on a regular basis to apprise senior company management of the status of the internal control program. These reports should include such topics such as areas which inadequate control techniques, areas which controls that are not functioning properly, and areas where excessive controls exist, as well as the plans and the schedules for addressing the identified concerns. And the last step is periodically test internal controls of high risk areas. Good internal controls have no impact unless they are followed in practice. A testing program provides the assurance that functions operate as intended. An effective testing program does not have to be test managers will not have the same level of thoroughness and documented work papers as those conducted by auditors. However, tests should be adequate enough to inform managers whether procedures are being followed, and controls are working as intended. So these are the steps to evaluate internal control system. Next topic, objectives of internal control. So objectives of internal controls are to evaluate the efficiency of performance in the various activities of the business, to ensure orderly, efficient and economic conduct of the business, to see that access to and use of assets are made only with proper authorization. At the same time, to safeguard the assets of the organization by preventing frauds, wastes and inefficiency. To ensure that there is a periodical verification and comparison of assets in existence with those of accounting records, and appropriate action is taken when there is any difference between the two. To ensure that transactions are recorded in proper books of accounts regularly, correctly and systematically according to policies and procedures, and the accounts are accurate and reliable. So these are the objectives of internal control. Next, types of internal controls. The types of internal controls are detective, preventive and corrective. First one is detective. So detective controls are designed to find errors or irregularities after they have occurred. Examples of detective controls are review of performance. For example, management compares information about current performance to budgets, forecasts, prior periods or other benchmarks to measure the extent to which goals and objectives are being achieved, and to identify unexpected results or unusual conditions that require follow-up. And reconciliations. An employee relates different sets of data to one another, identifies and investigates differences and takes corrective actions when necessary. Next one is preventive. Preventive controls are designed to discourage errors or irregularities from occurring. They are proactive controls that help to ensure departmental objectives are being met. Examples of preventive controls are segmentation of duties, approvals, authorizations and verifications, securities of assets, etc. For example, segmentation of duties means the duties are segmented among different people to reduce the risk of errors or inappropriate actions. Normally, responsibilities for authorizing transactions, recording transactions and handling the related assets are divided. Management authorizes employees to perform certain activities and to execute certain transactions within limited parameters. In addition, management specifies those activities or transactions that need supervisory approval before they are performed or executed by the employees. A supervisor's approval implies that he or she has verified and validated that activity or transaction conforms to established policies and procedures. Security of assets means access to equipment, inventories, securities, cash and other assets is restricted. Assets are periodically counted and compared to amount shown on control reports. And the last one is corrective. Corrective controls are internal controls developed to remedy errors that can be systematically corrected. At times, this may also involve additional training or employee disciplinary actions. Following discovery of major fraud, corrective controls are developed to counter the particular scheme employed by the perpetrator. Next one, limitations of internal controls. No matter how well internal controls are designed, they can only provide reasonable assurance that objectives have been achieved. Some limitations are inherent in all internal control systems. These include judgment, breakdowns, management override, and collusion. So, judgment means the effectiveness of controls will be limited by decisions made with human judgment under the pressures to conduct business based on the information at hand. Breakdowns. Breakdown means even well designed internal controls can be breakdown. Employees sometimes misunderstand instructions or simply make mistakes. Error may also result from new technology and the complexity of computerized information systems. Next one is management override. In this, high level personnel may be able to override prescribed policies and procedures for personal gain or advantage. This should not be confused with management intervention, which represents management actions to depart from prescribed policies and procedures for legitimate purposes. And the last one is collusion. Collusion means the control systems can be circumvented by employee collusion. Individuals acting collectively can alter financial data or other management information in a manner that cannot be identified by control systems. So these are the limitations of internal controls. Thank you.